Greetings and God bless you all. Just wanted to share a few things from this awesome book that I just finished reading. This is Kirk Cameron's biography, Still Growing. Um, this was a great autobiography. I really enjoyed this. I forgot when this was published. I believe 2001, to around then. So it was really during his, I don't know about the early days of Christianity, but um, this was an amazing book. I always wanted to know the story behind how Kirk Cameron, found God and how he got involved with Jesus, and really have has this in 2008 has this strong, very strong focus on Jesus Christ, which is something that I strive to do and will continue to. And there was a lot of great things in this book. If you're a fan of growing pains, you're gonna love this. A lot of the first stuff just is about his early acting days as a childhood actor, what they had to go through, and everything. It really gives you a different perspective, probably, than a lot of things that we've heard about child actors and all of the negative, bad things that happen to them. This is going to give you a different side of Hollywood child actors. He doesn't shy away from things, and there's a few dark things in there, but um, he's a very quirky kid, and it's a very interesting book, and it does cover some of the issues where Kirk Cameron had some problems with the direction of the show when the show was trying to get more quote unquote edgier, more of the Seinfeld, and I forget what the other show, but they were moving. I think Friends was the other one. They were moving towards that. They wanted more edgier, more sexy, and Kirk Cameron wasn't having that basically. So he didn't want to go that route. He talks a bit about this stuff, but what I'd like to do first is read a little bit. This is from page 128. I know it's hard to see that, so I don't know why. I always do that. People can't really see it, but page 128 at the bottom. And this is from the chapter called Teen Atheist. So that gives you kind of a good idea of where this is all going. But in this part, he talks about how there is no God, which is pretty interesting. And it's very interesting to see how he comes full circle around this. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. He says, "The idea of God felt silly to me. I was conditioned to believe in atheism. It was what I had always been taught in school as a kid. My science teacher didn't believe in God, and anyone with half a brain was an atheist too, or so I thought. It just seemed so rational, so smart. I was an individual, a free thinker. It was like, see, I'm not some stupid, vapid TV star. I've thought things through. And I said, there is no God. I had friends who had faith in God and spoke of him as the most significant part of their lives. That troubled me. I felt sorry for those small minded plebeians who were obviously victims of religious brainwashing. I didn't hold it against them, I just pitied them a bit. As far as I was concerned, they could worship Bigfoot as long as they didn't impose their fairy tale beliefs and archaic morality on me. I must have been asking my spiritual questions out loud because a set designer gave me a book she promised would change my life. It was called You. The title appealed to my self centered psyche. It explained that I was God and that the power of the universe resided within me, and that I just needed to recognize my potential and embrace it. I read it, but in the end, I couldn't buy into that philosophy. I had trouble making rice that didn't clump together, let alone create my own universe. Besides, if I was God, then why didn't I know that I was God? Why did it take a paperback to clue me in? I love that quote. I love that part. That's one of my favorite parts here. I knew the reason I was important was simply because I was on a TV show that made a lot of money for a lot of people. It was all about what I did and what I could do for them. As soon as teenage girls were done with me, my agent would be done with me. And so would Mary Hart and John Tesh, Entertainment Tonight. And so would People and TV Guide. My power was as thin as wet crepe paper. I did take a few ideas away from the self help book. I figured that if belief in a God helps one feel better about life and gets through the day, It doesn't matter whether it's real or not, or who he, she, it is, or what one calls God. I decided to experiment with that philosophy to see how a God belief would make me feel. I like the concept that a God could be anything I wanted it to be. I was like the writers in the Growing Pains writers' room. Just as they pulled stories and characters out of thin air, I could do the same in my creation of God. I thought my God should have a name, and I figured that what you call God is not important. I always liked the name Mark. It had a nice K at the end of it. So just for yucks, I named my God Mark. He's got a pretty interesting sense of humor. I'll read a little bit more. Around that time, I met a very pretty girl on the set. She was one of a set of triplets, which I know now sounds like a story begging to be turned into an episode. Mike dates triples simultaneously, but learns a valuable lesson about deceit. But no, I had just dated one of the sisters. She was a sweet girl who eventually invited me to join her family for a trip to church. To be perfectly honest, I didn't want to go, but I accepted the invitation, not because I was interested in religion, but because I didn't want to offend her family. It was a big church. The head honcho was a man named Chuck Swindle. He had a booming voice and spoke with authority. I listened as he read from a Bible which I thought was nothing more than a book full of rules designed to suck the fun out of life. This pastor began to share the biblical description of God in terms I had never heard before, in a way that grabbed my attention and dazzled my intellect. He spoke of God's omnipotence. God is all powerful. He talked about God's omniscience. He is all knowing, and he addressed God's holiness. He is morally perfect, and therefore he alone defines what is good. I spent a lot of time thinking about those things. I knew that while Earth seems huge when you're in an airplane, the truth is it's just a speck in comparison to the sun. And the sun is a relatively small star in our huge galaxy. The big ones are many times larger and occupy billions of other galaxies in the universe. The universe is so huge that we have not yet found our outer edges. If God created all this and sustains life on Earth, the only place that has life as far as we know, then how powerful and intelligent must he be? The thought was mind boggling to me. I later heard a scientist explain that Earth is basically a large rock being hurled thousands of miles per hour around a ball of fire we call the sun. If the Earth were to break from its orbit just a fraction, we would either burn up or freeze to death. If no one is in charge of this whole thing, we're in trouble, he said. Then he added, if someone is in charge of this whole thing, we're in trouble. That Sunday morning at church, with my friend's family, I thought, if God is real and eternal and made everything out of nothing, as the Bible says, it makes sense that he also knows every piece of his creation intimately. That means there is nothing he does not know. God knows not only what is at the outer edges of time and space, he also knows who shot JFK and the details of the secret love lives of the fleas on the back of every cat. That means he also knows every thought and every intention of my heart. I like the JFK thing in there too. Kind of shows me he's probably open to some alternative theories about JFK. Wonder if he would be open to some alternative theories about 911. Wouldn't that be interesting? I'm going to adjust these headphones here. All right, I'll read just a little bit more than I really want to get to what I wanted to talk about here today. The most sobering statement I heard that day was that God was holy, absolutely good. He abhors evil, which meant that I might be on the receiving end of some anger and wrath. After all, my secret thought life and private actions betrayed my image as a squeaky clean role model everyone believed me to be. Apparently, I was a sinner. The Bible made it clear there is a stubborn, selfish streak that runs deep in the heart of every person. It shows up when we lie, steal, fail to love God, dishonor our parents, are greedy, hateful, and so on. Dr. Swindle spoke about heaven and hell and immediately followed that up with the talk of God's mercy and love. He explained that God, in his kindness, provided a way for sinners to be forgiven of their sins. washed clean, changed, and made new. He spoke about the value of grace, repentance, and faith. So this is a big difference. Great book, and I'm just gonna stop there. It's a quick read. It's a 200 less than 200 pages, really, with some great resources, some appendices at the end. But if you ever were just curious about Kirk Cameron and wanted to learn a little bit more, this is a very good read, a very easy read. It's just called Kirk Cameron, Still Growing, which is a great one. I'm waiting for the sequel to this because that was published in 2008, and I'm sure he's got a lot more to say now. But he has been writing books, and he has been doing a lot of things, including speakings at libraries. So, whereas you'll see, well, you know what? Instead of me talking about it, and some of you may already know all about this here, you can always go to his website, kirkcameron.com. This is the main website here. He's got a store. It's got some things about kids, projects, the bio homeschool awakening, which is a great thing to think about. And the events, to the contact, and then definitely what I came here to really talk about that I'm really excited that I just purchased is the American Campfire Revival training kit. So that's what I really wanted to get to, but I did want to play this little clip so you can learn more about him. This is his first book, As You Grow. He's got a second book now that is called The Pride Comes Before the Fall. They're both children's books. And he got a little flack, a little pushback from libraries who didn't want him to read his book to children at the public libraries. Again, at the public libraries. And he's still on tour here. You can see he's still rocking and rolling from February to July. So, but he talks about this several times, several interviews. There's some great interviews. Maybe I'll play a few of those too. But he was on Tucker Carlson too. And Tucker Carlson, there's a good clip here. Why are libraries scared of Kirk Cameron's book? So instead of me talking about that, I think what I'm going to do is just go there, watch it together. It's just I think it's like a 5-minute clip. So let me see if I can get that. And this is just great because two of my favorites. I really enjoy Tucker Carlson. And let me just share this tab. And of course, I've always been a huge Kirk Cameron fan, but now it's become more than just a fan of Kirk Cameron. You know, I loved the Left Behind TV series, 3 movies. Fireproof was another great movie that Kirk Cameron did. But what he's doing now is taking this to a whole new level. He's fighting back on one of the biggest fronts and fighting for our children, fighting for Jesus Christ. And he's such an inspiration to me and has really helped me reevaluate my life, reevaluate my Christianity and what I'm doing, what I can do, reevaluate just everything as I move on with all of the blessings that God has given me and try to figure out how can I give back? You know, how can I help people get closer to God when a lot of times it feels like all I do is push people further away. But this is Kirk Cameron. He was on Tucker Carlson. This must have been last summer. Date is not important. The message really is. Take a listen and a look.
So let's say you want to host a drag time story hour with 7-year-olds. You obviously can use your public library for that, but you can't read a book about God at a public library. And the actor Kirk Cameron just learned that. Dozens of public libraries refused to give him a slot to speak to kids about his new faith-based book called As You Grow. One Rhode Island library told him, quote, "We are a very queer-friendly library. Our messaging does not align." Okay, Kirk Cameron joins us tonight. Kirk, thanks so much for coming on. So they wouldn't let you read this book? This book was banned in libraries? How controversial is this book?
Well, it's a book that teaches biblical wisdom through the seasons of life to children and the value of growing the fruit of the Spirit, like love, joy, kindness, patience, gentleness, self-control. And I wanted to do a book reading at a public library, and I was denied by over 50 woke libraries that have hosted drag queen story hours. One of the most outrageous denials was Alameda County Public Library that said they didn't want that book teaching kids biblical values, while at the same time they're hosting a gender name change clinic tomorrow. And I'm thinking, wow, if we're so committed to diversity, why am I being excluded? Why can't I use your facility to read my book? You're a library.
Well, yeah. So we began the show with a story about how the president of Ukraine has banned a Christian religion in Ukraine. And then we get to your story where the libraries ban your book. So the thread here appears to be fear and hatred of Christianity. Why do you think a religion based on peace and tolerance, turning the other cheek, not showing vengeance, is so scary?
Well, my understanding of history is that the family and the church are two great pillars of Western civilization. And those two things need to be removed and taken out of the way in order to fundamentally change the power structure and the moral value code of the nation. And that's why parents are fighting back. In fact, Tucker, hundreds of parents and librarians are now emailing us saying, we want your book, and we want to host our own Brave Book Story Hour in our public library. So here's my call to action. I want every parent and every grandparent in America to get their favorite children's storybook, my book or other Brave books, or a book of the Bible. Call your local public library that has hosted a Drag Queen Story Hour and say, I'd like the chance to read my book in the library. And if they say no, they're likely breaking the law and violating the Constitution, and they can contact bravebooks.com. We'll give them free books and all that they need to turn that denial into a revival in their community.
I think the posture that you're taking, which is gentle and calm and brave and persistent, is something I personally can learn from. Less outrage, more rational response. And I think that really works. And I hope that you inspire other people to do the same. Tell your story. Don't get mad. Be honest. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're right, Tucker. And to Christians particularly, we often get told no in the public square. We go home with our tail between our legs, crying in our Chick-fil-A soup, waiting for the rapture, rather than getting on the offense and saying, let's invest in our children and teach them the values we want them to learn.
Amen. I completely agree with that. And the way you're doing it is the way to do it. I appreciate it. Kirk Cameron, thanks.
Thank you, Tucker.
That was beautiful.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch
like
our
that.
nightly opens, stories that are
happy
changing.
that was on, that made it directly to Kirk Cameron's website. And you're seeing a lot more of that. Kirk Cameron has been on a couple other Fox News shows too. He used to be on CNN, and he's been on Larry King. He's been on a lot of different places until he started talking about Jesus. Then everything kind of changed. But it's so humbling. Oh, let me turn this fan off. So it's so humbling to hear and to see what he is doing. Such a very godly man, and someone that all of us Christians can learn a lot from. And like Tucker said, the approach, the calm, collected approach, is something we can all learn from. And it can work. But he seems to be, Kirk Cameron just seems to be a very stable human being and just a bright light in this dark world. And so I'm very happy to see that. Very happy about his books, about what he's doing. Kirk Cameron, when he mentioned the library in the Alameda County Library, which just happens to be the county that I grew up in most of my life. And I'm thinking, I wonder which one that was. I wonder which, it could be the San Leandro Library. That's a pretty big one. There's a couple big libraries. I don't know exactly which one that it was, but hey, at least he tried. And I know a lot of places had to finally had to give in and let him do the story time hour to actually talk about God. And it is crazy that it does feel like, and maybe other people feel like this, maybe Muslims feel like this, maybe Jewish people feel like this too, is that we're under attack. Now, I do believe that unlike the Jewish religion and unlike the Muslims, Christianity is a peaceful religion. It doesn't just talk about it, but that is all about peace. And that's what it is. I don't even like to call Christianity a religion. It's just truth to me. And I think to every Christian, that's really what it is. So that was awesome. And you can see things that I've been looking at. So he's got some different projects here, some great projects. If you have not taken the time, or if you, when you do have the time, he has a great podcast that is called American Campfire Revival. And that's like 15-20 minute shows. He puts it's the same ones. If you follow him on Facebook, you'll see them up there too. But they're really short clips, 15 minutes of him sitting by a campfire and just talking about God, talking about different aspects of the Bible. And I've really enjoyed that show. I wake up every morning. I wake up and it's what I listen to, and hope that there's something new, because we need this. We need to feed our souls, and it's so hard. And it sucks that it's kind of hard to find, good Christians in this world, stable Christians. And when you find them, you definitely want to hold on to that. He has a great show called Takeaways. This is on TBN, so I've been watching that too. I don't like it as much because he's just interviewing other people, which is great, but I really want to hear more about him. I want to hear more from him. That's why I really like the podcast that he does. But Takeaways is really good too, and he has a lot of great guests. He has been a guest on a lot of different shows, obviously, like Tucker Carlson. He was just on Ben. What's that? That Jewish guy's name. I can't remember his last name. He's a pretty popular one though too. And he was on. He did like a 30-minute show with Sarah Carter, which was awesome. Another great show. So anyways, he's making those rounds. What I have found, just kind of looking over all of the things that he does, let's do a little shopping here. So when I went to the shop, was looking around to see all the cool stuff that they have. Life Mark is another great movie too. It is about life. It's about not killing your baby, pretty much, and it's based on a true story, I believe, or inspired by a true journey. But I was looking through this to see what I could find, and I came across this awesome training kit. Let's see. Hopefully, you can see this here. This training kit for $50. This is what I got. And I'll just read a little bit about what this is. But you get so many things inside of this training kit. So this training kit, join Kirk Cameron around the campfire as he guides you through the American Covenant, the Untold Story, the book that millions of people studied while gathering virtually in Kirk's backyard, starting the movement now known as the American Campfire Revival. Now in 10 lessons designed for group discussion, Kirk is joined by author Marshall Foster, and together they will guide you through the miraculous beginnings of America, revealing its life-giving secret and forgotten covenants, while setting a roadmap for today to defeat the darkness and stir a passion for liberty. Revival doesn't die if there are enough liberty-loving people to fuel it, and we hope this training kit will guide you to fan the flames of faith and good works into a wildfire that brings new and lasting life to America. So let me show you here what is included in this great kit that I just bought. So obviously, first you're going to get the book. You're going to get the American Covenant by Marshall Foster, which I am looking forward to reading. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to read Kirk Cameron's book so quickly to get that done, because I wanted to be ready. When this book came, it did. But what I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully my wife is too, because we'll be watching this together. This is the DVD series right here. These are the training videos that we are going to start watching, because I need to work on my spirituality. And that is something, that's something that we need to constantly be doing. But I feel the struggle, I feel the darkness, and I feel all of the things that can distract me away from the real thing here, right? From God, from Jesus. I look around in this room right here, and I'm sure I have a Bible maybe stuffed away in my closet, but I don't have one out right here. I've got some other books. I got some awesome the original Star Trek book. I got that. I got some Tom Clancy books. I got all of my J.R.R. Tolkien books, my Star Wars movies, my Star Trek movies. I don't have a Bible sitting right here. And I do have one I know I have a big, huge Bible right here in this closet. But I think the point is I need to continually make sure that I'm not slipping, that I'm not, putting God second. And even though I'm not intentionally doing it, but to always kind of question myself, to question it and make sure, am I on the right path here? Am I doing what God wants me to do? And I have to continually ask myself that. Now, these 10 commandments may be a little bit different here, but I really, I saw this, and I know it's a little bit crooked too, without dropping the whole thing. But it's pretty much the same message here. So, put God first, praise and worship him only, keep God's name holy, keep the Lord's day special, obey your parents, do not harm anyone, love the one you marry, don't take anything that is not yours, tell the truth, don't be jealous of what others have. So I got this at Hobby Lobby because I was looking for something that would fit right here with the new camera angle that I'm kind of working on. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. It's still kind of, I don't know if I really like it that much, but so I found this and I thought, oh, this is perfect. This is awesome. This is great. But so what I'm going to do is continue to work on my Christianity always. And so I found this kit, $50. And again, what you get 4 things here. You get the book. I always enjoy a new book. You're not going to, it's very rare for me to turn down a new book. I would love, I love spiritual books. I'm very leery because I'm very picky about, Christian books and things like that I do choose to read. I want to interpret the Bible for myself. I don't want somebody else's interpretation, but this is more about our country. And after listening to Kirk Cameron's podcast, watching him talk about this book and the awesome things that are in this book, it just makes me very excited for it. So now that they not only have that, but they have a study lesson for it, a video training series, I'm looking forward to that too, which is not something that I would normally want to do. But I've always had issues with school and never really liked school. But when you have a subject that you really like, you have a class that you really like, the class is good because of that subject. There were some times where I was like, I'm looking forward to going to school to learn about this. Didn't happen a whole lot, but when it did, it was very powerful. And those are things that still stick with me today. And you also get this awesome, cool journal here too. So this is the American Campfire Revival Journal. And who can't use a good journal? I mean, I need journals. I love it. It has the little place where I can put my pencil or my pen. I really love using pencils. But what I found is if I want these journals to last for my kids, for my kids' kids, for generations to come, a pen is probably going to last much longer than pencil. But so I'm still kind of fighting that. But this is great. It's just, just a journal that I can take notes, which I love to take notes and just writing. I just enjoy writing just in general. Lots of journals, lots of notepads, notebooks everywhere. And this was pretty cool too, because who can't use a pocket constitution, pocket principles? That's what this basically is. It's going to give you the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the timeless principles of liberty. So that's what I got for $50. This just came. I am really looking forward to reading this, to getting more involved in this. And for some reason, I love watching Kirk Cameron talk about Jesus. I love listening to him talk about Jesus. It just seems so genuine and just so different from other people that I've heard talk about God or talk about Christ. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it really yet, but I really do enjoy anytime he's on any radio show, any talk show, anything like that. I really enjoy watching and listening to him. So, once I finish this, hopefully I'll come back with more. But Kirk Cameron has just been doing such a great job of, in a respectful, spiritual, Christian way, of combating the drag queen story time hour and the homosexuality, the killing of babies, and just, he doesn't focus on those things. He focuses on the Bible, which in turn talks very plainly and very clearly about what we should do regarding those issues. So it's more like, you don't have to believe what he's saying. You don't have to believe what these 10 things saying, but this is what the Bible is saying. And so your beef is not with Kirk Cameron. Your beef is not with Christians. It is with the Bible. And really is with God, and it really is with Jesus Christ. And so I think that's about all I wanted to cover here. Just, I really do enjoy anything that Kirk Cameron does. I'm a huge, huge fan, obviously. And once again, I look forward to learning more. And every day that he comes out and does another show, I just really enjoy it. I look forward to it. It starts my day off great. God bless you all. Hope you have a great day. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you.